Hello guys, it's Peter from the Almost Painted channel, and today I will show you how I paint Vespid Stingwings from brand new Operation Hivestorm box set for Kill Team. I went with a classic tauempire color scheme paired with light blue flesh, and without further ado, let's start painting. The paints are listed in the description below the video, just in case you want to use this paint scheme for your models. Moving on the model itself, I started with grey Seer spray because I'm using contrast paint as the main color of the flesh. So I start with one coat of Space Wolves Grey. You don't have to be neat during this step because even if you make a mistake, it will be covered with other paints. Just paint the whole body and remember to cover all the recesses while not making them too dark. And by the way, in this tutorial I show a quick and easy way to paint a model that looks okay on the table. We paint all the models ourselves for the channel, so we have to be quick and efficient. So keep this perspective in mind. If you want to find something more advanced, there are many channels on YouTube that focus mainly on painting models. For us, the biggest fun is playing 40k games, and we paint the models so they just look good on the camera. Going back to the Vespid, I'm a bit more careful with the wings, because there is no need to cover wing membranes with paint, so I leave them grey. And this is how the model looks after the first step. Right now the model is too dark, so it's time to make it lighter with a dry brush of Fenrisian Grey. I'm using a medium-sized brush, and again, you don't have to be too careful during this step. I'm using a regular layer paint for this dry brush, so all I have to care for is to prepare the brush on the tissue of kitchen paper, leave just a bit of paint on it and cover the flesh while leaving darker recesses. I think dry brushing is a great technique if you want to paint the models fast. You can achieve great results with it and you don't have to care about almost anything. And now it's time to paint spots of dark blue on the shoulders, hands, knees and feet. I think the best paint for this is Kantor Blue, because it contrasts really well with previous paints. I applied the paint using stippling technique, so basically I make dots and I'm placing them more densely closer to the edges. With this step the flesh is ready and we can move on to wing membranes and abdomen. I'm starting with one layer of Wraithbone because it's good foundation for other paints that I'll use in a moment. From now on, I'm a bit more careful because I don't want to paint over the flesh by accident. The next paint is Ushabti Bone, and I'm applying it on the same areas as Wraithbone. For me, one layer is enough, but if you water this paint too much, you might want to apply 2 layers. And now it's time to shade the wings and abdomen with Seraphim Sepia. It's another step that is very quick, but gives great results in no time. After this stage, I noticed that I forgot to paint the teeth, so I did them off camera with the same paints as for the wings. Then we go back to Ushabti Bone to do the highlight and finish this part of the model. On the wings I'm painting only thin lines on the wing veins, and when it comes to belly I'm covering it almost completely, leaving only dark recesses dividing the abdomen into individual fragments. And ending with the chompers, so that he looks like he just left the dentist's office. The Vespid itself is almost done, so it's time to start painting his war gear. I'm using here classic tauempire color scheme, so I'm beginning with XV88 base on his neutron blaster and also his backpack. I skip the fragments that will be black because I'll paint them in a moment. For this I'm using Abaddon Black, and I'm starting with the mandiblades, continue with the blaster and the sting, followed by the talons all over its body and lower part of the backpack. Now I can continue with layering its weapons with Light Orche. I cover almost the whole surface, leaving only the recesses and the same on its back. The last paint for this area is Ungor Flesh, and this time it's typical edge highlight. I could also get away with dry brush, but this is a small part of the model, so highlight doesn't take much time, and it just suits a blaster that has sharp edges. And then the same on the backpack, but I concentrated too much on the painting and forgot to remain in focus during the recording. Sorry guys. As we are reaching the end, it's time to paint some smaller details. The first are golden circles on the weapon painted with Retributor Armour. For the crystal, I'm using Caliban Green as a base coat. As it dries, I apply Seraphim Sepia on gold, and then go back to the crystal with a layer of Warpstone Glow and edge highlight of Moot Green. For the eyes, I've chosen Mephiston Red because it contrasts well with all the colors and makes the eyes stand out. Once again, it is a part that required too much focus on painting, so I had some problems with catching it on the camera. Looking straight into his eyes, you can see they are far from perfect, but as I said earlier, I want the models to look good from the table perspective, so it's enough for me. The model is practically painted, so it's time for the base. For my Tau army I use Astrogranite Debris, and by accident it's a perfect paint for Volcus board from Hivestorm box set. For the stone I'm using Dawnstone Grey, and I have to buy more paints in this hue of grey, because right now it's the only one that fits this base. Normally I would go with base paint, because Dawnstone is a bit too translucent. The last thing are two metal rods painted with Retributor Armour. To finish the base, I'm washing it with Nuln Oil, but as always I'm too impatient and I didn't give enough time for Astrogranite to dry, and it's starting to be a mess, so I have to wait. After some time, I finally can cover the whole base with Nuln Oil, and then it's just a matter of painting base's border with Steel Legion Drab. Bernard always laughs at me that I paint the border with many layers of paint, but this time only 2 are sufficient. And this is how the finished model looks like. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and that it was useful in any way for you. Please tell me in the comments what are your thoughts and maybe suggest what models would you like to see painted in this format. Thanks for watching and see you next time.